Hey guys, welcome back to our question and answer videos with Nothing Hidden Ministries. We've got a bunch of questions that have come in. Thanks for submitting those. One today we want to talk about is surrounding online dating, and I have been chosen or chose myself for this one because I used to be you may call it a fiend or a professional, depending on how you look at it. Back before I was married, I went through different stints where I did online dating, and I would go deep and I would go hard. At one point, I think I had like 4 different apps on my phone that I was using to date and stuff, and it in some ways got out of hand. In some ways, it was just my personality expressing itself through that medium. So let's start talking about a few of the questions people have around this idea of online dating. The stigma around it, depending on where you are, kind of in the secular world and the church world, it can be very diverse, even in both worlds. I tend to find that a lot of people in the church world look at it more negatively because I think there's a belief that, if you're really trusting God, you shouldn't need to use something that is a tool that's man-made to help you find your person. I think that belief can just as easily stem from fear and lies and insecurity as it can from faith. Maybe for you individually, God's saying, nope, this isn't what I'm going to use. I need you to trust me and let me work on this area in your life of dating. That was the case with me. I'm a very social person. I loved dating. I love meeting new people. It was fun for me. So to me, it wasn't even like I was necessarily trying to find my wife. I mean, if that happened, great. But I also just as much loved the social aspect of it, meeting people. And so for me, when I would talk to God around it, or friends in my life would talk to me about it, what seemed to be the more peaceful route was kind of letting go and saying, okay, I'm desperately like trying to be the one who's managing my dating life, my relationship, romantic, all that stuff. And so for me, it was a matter of kind of surrendering and letting go to God and letting Him have control over that. But for some people, maybe there's the fear, there's this kind of pride element of, this is not how my story is going to go. I'm not going to look back and say we met online, which if you're open to God using any avenue, I can name more than 2 hands full of people who have met good Christian people online who have gotten married and who have wonderful marriages. So if you want to cut that element out of your life, you can, but it may be one that God chooses to use for you. So I think you have to look at wherever fear is driving you, fear or a reaction, pride, something like that, and it'll be different for each person. Let's see, how to involve God. I kind of mentioned this. What happened with me, I think a really helpful way to go about online dating is to make sure you're kind of in open conversation and community with people around it, as well as with God. Now, the thing about having God involved, if you're good and you have the discipline to kind of pray and surrender this process to Him each day, that's great. But that's what happens typically in relationships. We say, ooh, I want to, God, bring me a person, and then that person comes into our life, and that person kind of trumps God's voice in our lives. So it's also really good to have people in your life. I would talk to friends, and they'd be like, Jeremy, you're doing this way too much. You need to take it easy. And I'd kind of laugh, go, ha, 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 I know. But their voices kind of got through after a while. I joke with my brother Justin. I would sit on the couch swiping my life away, looking at different profiles on all my different apps. And I'd look over at him and say, don't ever start this, like a smoker who can't stop now. And I was a little bit addicted to it. I was addicted to the surprise, the fun, who could I meet next? The next person could be the one, or could be this new exciting thing. So I had to kind of let that go. Warning signs that it's becoming unhealthy. Yeah, if you're unwilling to kind of let it go, or if you find yourself giving all of your thought life to it, too much of your dating time, money, if it's creeping into other hangout times with people in your life that is healthy, it becomes unbalanced. Also, it becomes hidden. If you start going on dates and people don't know about it, and it can be a really hidden world where you can start getting into physical stuff with people you don't meet. Obviously, that's what a lot of the online dating culture is. It's just kind of hookup culture. But that doesn't mean that the tool itself is bad. So this is where we have to kind of separate something using a tool that man made, that is kind of used in many ways for very kind of more base fleshly things, but to use it in a good way. That takes discipline and self-control and being in community and being very intentional about it. I'm going to have to cut it off there because We only have so much time on these videos. There's so much we could talk about in this online dating video topic. Maybe I'll do a second one of it. But I definitely am going to do more of it. My wife and I are doing an e-course called The Wins and Wounds of Dating that we're going to release soon, and I'll get a little more into the online dating world. So that'll be good. Hope this helps for now. Keep submitting your questions. We'd love to hear from you guys. Hope you're all well. Bye-bye.